Hey everybody, it's Scrappy Pappy again, and here we're going to be cutting apart electric motors. Couldn't get my gloves on, and the electric motors, most of these came from like AC compressor unit fans, the unit that's outside of your house, and there's other windings from other types of motors. Now always check your motors first to make sure it's copper and not aluminum, because why go through all this if it's just aluminum winding? So you usually cut a piece and look at it and make sure it's all copper. Now, as you can see, I'm trying to brace this in, and it's jumping all around, so I had to use 3 other motors to support it, plus I'm still holding it. And after doing this, and while I'm in the middle of editing this video for you, I came up with an idea of building a jig that will hold the motors. So when I get done with this video editing, I'm going to go back to my shop and create a motor winding jig that will hold it in place so you can hold it safely. Alright, now as you can see, it's almost through. I've cut, and what I'm using here is a 10-inch 18-point metal blade on my Sawzall, and you can use any kind of reciprocating saw or whatever that gets you through it. And now we're about ready to bust through that outer housing, and bam, there it is. Alright, so now I take that outer housing and throw that into steel. Now, this video here that's coming up is going to show you how to cut the windings off the actual core of the motor. So again, I'm using the 10-inch blade so I get some good length. Now this blade, I believe, was getting on its end of its life. I have a few dull spots on it, so that's why it's kind of taking a little longer to cut through it. And but you want to just cut through the copper coils there, and work your way around with the Sawzall. Also, you see that cord that's on there? It's like a nylon type cord that holds the windings in place. My metal yard doesn't care about that, so that I don't have to take all that apart. That just goes out as #2 copper with it. There's not a lot of weight in it, that's why they're not so concerned about it. On the other side, you have the same cord, but you also have some insulated wire that feeds the copper coils. So that wire you may want to just snip away. They kind of frown on that sometimes when you have extra insulation wire with it. So just cut that out and throw that into your insulated wire bin. Alright, now it's about ready to come apart here, and you'll see that just falls out. And should be real close here. Again, I guess next time I'll just get a newer blade when I'm shooting the video to make it go a little faster. Alright, I'm almost through here. As you can see, put a little force to it. You don't have to do much, especially when you have a sharper blade. You don't have to put much force through it. And then this whole ring will just pop right off, and it's a beautiful piece of #2 copper. And right now, during the COVID, the copper prices are a little on the low side, so I'm just storing it up until a happy day comes around. All right, there it is. It's flush right against the core. So that's steel, and there's your #2 copper. Bam! That's a good 3 pounds of copper right there. So times that by where the price is going up. Alright, now I'm doing the other side. This one will go a little faster. I edited this down a little shorter. But see the red insulated wire there? There's a few other colors in there, like blue and black. That stuff, you probably want to take that cord and cut it with your diagonal cutters, and then cut that insulated wire out. And bam, there's #2. Alright, not bad. That's another 3 pounds. Now there's the iron core, and it's got copper inside. Alright, to recap of what I've just done is here's 2 motor windings with the armatures out of it. I will cut through the metal, and on both of these, this one has some sort of brackets, and then we'll cut on one side, cut all that off, and pull through. So that's the first stage. Here's what it looks like after the outer housing is off. So there's just 2 types here. It's a thinner wire and a thicker wire.
So I'll cut this side and pull through there. Same with this, cut one side and pull out. Pretty easy. Now this one here is more, it's a thicker wire. It's got a lot of resin or some sort of glue or something in it that holds it in. So what I'll do here is just cut this off, throw that in number 2, cut this side off, throw it in number 2, and then the rest will just go to copper recovery. Doesn't give you a whole lot of money. All right, now this one here has an outer back case, and a lot of times you can, I don't know if you can see that, it's kind of glued there. So I'll pound on that with a hammer, walk it around. Sometimes you can take a pipe through the middle here and pound on it, and you'll get the windings off just like the others. This is one that I've cut off both sides because it was too deep to pull the wires through. You would have had to have a crane to pull it through. So I cut off both sides, threw that into number 2. But what I did here is I set this over the edge of a table, and I take a 1/4 3 or 4 inch type bolt, and you just pound the windings out on the thick end, and then after you get the thick end, the other ones kind of fall right after it. So it's pretty easy, and I haven't completed it yet, just to let you know. I just stopped there for the video. Now this one here. This one here is a little more difficult. I think it comes from like a direct drive type motor or something. This one, sometimes you just want to throw it out as motor winding. You won't get a whole lot of money, but if you want to take the time, it's a rainy day and you have nothing else to do, you cut the outer casing off. Then you can cut in between on these plastic pieces here and get through there and get to the windings. The other way is cut the windings on one side and just pull them out. So again, it's a rainy day type of job and you have nothing to do. This type of motor here comes from a lot of little fans and motors like that. So I'll cut the housing out same way. It's got 2 windings opposite of each other, which looks like this when the casing's out. And then you just cut through one side and pull the other side out. It's great to have a vise for this kind of work. This here is from a ceiling fan motor. So as you can see, you'll see this up in this, the ceiling fan like that, you know, hanging down. And you take the case off. It's usually with screws. You pull the casing out, and then what you'll have on both sides is like this. So what I end up doing here is I'll take a very fine tip Sawzall blade, Dremel blade, or just a pair of diagonal cutters and cut through all this one side all the way around each coil. Then I flip it over and pull it with a screwdriver and they pop right out. This again can take a little time, so you may want to have a rainy day type of situation. Show you one last motor winding that I started to do, and I have to separate it. It's a little bit of difficulty. It's got copper and aluminum. With that, you got to separate it. Just a little more challenging. I never ran into one of these before until recently, that they had both types of metals. So again, do you want to go through that time? If not, put it in the motor windings.
All right, here we're going to show you how I pull the windings out of the motor iron casing. So I go along with a couple of heavy duty screwdrivers, could be Phillips, could be straight bit blade, whatever. And I just pry around in a circle, just go around. And this is this one is just a little tougher than some of them I've had, but on the average, a winding like this might take 3 to 5 minutes to pry around. So you might come up with a better method. If so, please let me know. But as you can see, the other side was cut flush. I threw that in number 2. This is the back side. Now you can't, it's very difficult to do it through a thick winding like that one I showed you a little while ago with the bolt. But this one is standard off of a AC unit. And just pry those little pieces right out like that. And they come out like little upside down U's shape. Or like almost like horseshoes, I guess. So now you can see I'm just prying it right around, get all that precious number 2 copper out. This is a good job to do if you have a bench inside, which I do, on a rainy or snowy day in the winter. You can stockpile all these windings up and wait for that time. And also, again, store your metals up in a bin somewhere until the prices get back to a good number. Right now, this is being recorded during the COVID time, so we're in April of 2020. So there you go. That's all number 2 right there, and that iron core just goes into the metal. And here are some samples of some number 2 windings. There's the cord that's wrapped around the little nylon cord, and that's some nice looking cover right there, and bring in some good money later when you're ready to sell it. So thanks for watching. Again, please subscribe, like, whatever, and see you on the next one. And remember, I will be posting that next video about making the jig for motor housings. Thanks again.